The story begins in the middle of a forest, where a group of adventurers is terrified by something that appeared right in front of them. Soon after, the system warns them that they are about to encounter an elite monster, so everyone must get ready. It was a level 4 elite poisonous spider with 700 health points, and the group goes into total panic. Then they start yelling, saying it is over for them, and one of the guys regrets going there. But while everyone runs away in despair, Yahello draws his glowing sword and decides to fight. So our protagonist goes after the giant monster all by himself while his companions flee. One of them questions why the young man is going alone, as it would take 10 people to defeat the creature. However, for our hero, that was not just a game but a path to survival, so he attacks. At that moment, the giant spider uses one of its sharp legs to try to pierce our character. The protagonist successfully dodges and uses the opening to counterattack the massive creature. Suddenly, a notification warns that the young man has been poisoned and will lose 5 health points for 60 seconds. Watching from afar, the other players wonder if he is crazy for fighting alone and are already coveting his items. Then, the monster charges with full force our hero once again to finish him off. At this moment, Yahello's eyes glow, and he activates his skill called Eye of Perception. With this, the young man manages to land a triple damage strike, causing 48 damage. Right after, the protagonist uses a chain to bind the sword to his arm, getting ready. He then uses his weapon to block the spider's leg attack, which comes with full force. The group is amazed by the 48 damage, and one of them notices that the young man stuck something into the ground. Even so, the monster manages to land a powerful hit on our character, injuring him. We see that he took 25 damage and continues to lose health because of the poison. Yahello quickly grabs a health potion to heal himself while the poison still affects him. He thinks that, as expected from an elite monster, the poison almost drained him, and he cannot stall. A screen shows the stats of the player Grand Dream, who is at level 2 with 55 health points. Dodging the attacks, the protagonist manages to land multiple strikes on the giant creature. The spider then prepares a piercing attack with its leg to take the young man down once and for all. But our hero is not intimidated, and with glowing eyes, he prepares for the impact. Using the chain, he launches himself into the air and manages to block the monster's attack. This way, he finds an opening and lands a critical hit of 50 damage on the spider. One of the players yells from afar, asking if he is still around, and says he can just try again if he gets eliminated. Yahello thinks that if the elite monster dealt just a little more damage, he would have been wiped out. However, the protagonist faces the monster and says that this was just a warm-up for him. He then reveals what he had prepared earlier, using the chain to create a trap with the swords on the ground. Because of this, the giant monster ends up completely caught in our hero's chain trap. The creature struggles with all its might, but Yahello pulls the chain to keep it from escaping. At this moment, the chains start throwing sparks because of the enormous tension applied to them. Then, a warning shows that the poisonous spider has been weakened and its defense has dropped to 0. Seeing this, the group watching from afar is shocked and wonders how a trap with rusty swords actually worked. This way, Yahello, with his eyes glowing, announces that he will claim the first elimination of the elite monster. He charges with everything he has and takes advantage of the immobilized spider to deliver the final blow. With a completely focused look, the protagonist manages to finish off the massive creature once and for all. Soon after, a world announcement congratulates the player Grand Dream for the first elimination on the server. Outside the game, several players are shocked and comment on the unknown player's achievement. At this moment, we see that the young man is actually in a wheelchair, and he takes off his VR headset. He then introduces himself, saying his name is Yahello, and he looks very tired. Our protagonist reveals that he has only 6 months left due to an incurable illness. The young man says the doctor told him he could make it for 2 years, but his family has no money for the treatment. Then a message from an old friend offers him a gift, saying it could be a chance to survive. This gift was a virtual reality game called New Origin, created from a meteorite. As soon as it was launched, the game became a worldwide phenomenon, and something incredible was discovered within it. They found out that awakened individuals could cultivate spiritual power and talents in the game to use in the real world. Strangely, during the beta phase, the young man was placed in a chat group with the game's monsters. He saw monsters chatting about a secret treasure buried under a tree. By observing the conversations, our character discovered a lot of valuable information about the game. Despite doubting it at first, he followed the clues and went to the tree to dig at the indicated spot. To his surprise, he actually found the celestial god's secret treasure that the monsters talked about. Inside the chest, he found the amethyst sword, a black iron weapon with 10 agility. Furthermore, our hero learned the unique skill called Eye of Perception, which helps him in battles. With this in mind, he realized he could use the group's information to get stronger quickly. Right after, a white rabbit in the monster chat screams in despair that the secret treasure is missing. Yahello then shows his determination and says he wants to get stronger to survive and help his family. Next, we see a memory of the young man lying in a hospital bed while his family visits him. His sister was crying, holding his hand, and his brother promised he would work to cure him. Yahello's mother was also crying, hugging her husband, feeling unable to help her son. The hero's goal was to get out of that situation, and we see him giving himself an injection. He thinks that this was his last dose of medicine, and the New Origin game was his final chance. With a look full of determination, the young man prepares to return to the virtual world. He then sits in front of his computer to enter the game once again and gets stronger. The protagonist takes the opportunity to check the monster group, who are talking about the arrival of big shots. The young man is intrigued by the words big shots and inheritances, so he decides to investigate further. He quickly puts on his virtual reality headset and enters the game world again. Once inside the game, the young man decides to check the equipment he got from defeating the monster. After the confrontation, Zhang Lu leveled up to level 4 and opens his inventory to check the items. He obtained Elite Light Armor, which is black iron equipment and gives 10 defense. He also got an Elite Cape with 77 health points and a silver ring with 10 luck. With a smile on his face, he thinks that, as expected, an elite monster's equipment is great. Suddenly, a small fairy appears in front of our hero and calls him Master. She introduces herself as the system spirit and congratulates the young man on the server's first elimination. As a reward, the first elimination title grants 100 health and mana, plus a passive skill. Our character is shocked and comments that this critical hit skill is divine tier. He asks the system to hide his information, and we see his updated stats with the new items. Zhang Lu feels better this way, and already starts thinking about what he would get by defeating a boss. The spirit explains that items from special monsters vary depending on their level. Then, she shows the equipment classification, which goes from raw grade to diamond tier. Normally, a boss's equipment is superior to a rare monster's, which is better than an elite's. Our protagonist understands how the equipment system works and thinks about his strategy. At that moment, a group of players passes by, and he recognizes one of them as Zhong and Tianxia. The group leader approaches and says his equipment looks good, asking to take a look. Zhang Lu simply replies that he is in a hurry and tries to ignore the group of players. Then two of them step forward and say their boss wants the equipment and that it is an honor. With a sarcastic smile, our hero asks if they plan to attack him if he refuses. The group leader laughs and says his Zhong clan always gets whatever they want. He then says he is going to teach the kid a lesson and that whoever has the power can do whatever they please. With that, one of the henchmen steps forward with his sword and warns that today is the young man's unlucky day. But our hero easily dodges the attack and lands a powerful kick on the ground. At this moment, Zhang Lu asks the system spirit about the sensation of pain in the game. He then tells the fairy to step back, and she agrees while the young man prepares for the fight. The protagonist thinks he needs to avoid taking damage and decides to put his 10 points into agility. A screen shows his new stats with the agility attribute increased to 30. The other henchman yells for his partner to be careful and not damage the young man's equipment. Quickly, our character leaps to dodge another attack from his enemies. He activates his skills and warns the opponent to worry about himself first. This way, the young man lands a triple combo, dealing a critical hit of 75 damage to the player. The opponent is shocked to be defeated with just one strike and disappears right after. Wasting no time, our hero charges at the other henchman to finish him off too. Watching from afar, the group leader wonders how such high damage is possible in the early stages. The player tries to defend himself from the protagonist's fast attack with his broadsword. Zhang Lu easily bypasses his defense and positions himself for a precise counterattack. He readies his glowing sword for another powerful strike against the opponent. With his speed, the young man lands another 3-hit combo, dealing a critical of 30. The hero once again manages to dodge an opponent's strike with great agility. Our character comments that this player's defense is pretty high for his level. The henchman yells in anger because he cannot land a single hit on the protagonist. With a quick movement, our young man dodges and prepares the final attack on the enemy. Using his combo again, he lands a critical hit of 66 and defeats the player. Before disappearing, the henchman warns his boss to be careful with the young man's skills. Zhang Lu then turns to the leader and says with a serious look that it is his turn now. We see that the player who ran from the spider made a deal to join the Zhong clan. The treacherous leader uses the new member as a shield to block our hero's attack. With his spear, the boss manages to defend the strike, causing a massive collision. He then yells furiously that he is going to take the protagonist down once and for all. The two clash and exchange powerful strikes, but our hero dodges using his agility. Thus, the protagonist lands a critical hit of 50 on the boss's chest, injuring him. With glowing eyes, he takes advantage of the opening to prepare for the next attack. He finishes the leader with one strike and says that having power truly means doing whatever you want. Before disappearing, the boss yells that he will remember Grand Dream and will get his revenge someday. After the victory, our hero inspects the items left on the ground by the players. He collects a dagger, a piece of armor, and swift boots that give 9 agility. The young man equips the boots and decides it is time to head back to the beginner's village to restock. Walking through the village, he notices many new NPCs and wonders if the big shots are among them. Then he sees on the forum that a player was eliminated by an NPC in the safe zone and gets confused. Suddenly, a white-haired girl asks a man if what he is eating is tasty. Our character watches the little girl talking to a man in a white suit at a bakery. The man replies that the cake is delicious because it was made with special ingredients from the mountains. With sparkling eyes, the little girl's mouth waters just imagining the taste of the pastry. However, the gentleman kicks her out, telling her not to interrupt his afternoon tea and to go away. Zhang Lu finds this scene a bit cliché and wonders if she could be one of the game's big shots. The little girl then starts crying and yells that she is starving because she has not eaten anything in 3 days. Her crying makes the protagonist remember his younger siblings, and he feels touched. He has a flashback of his siblings really wanting to eat a cake in front of a bakery. On that day, his little brother was saying that sweets were not tasty to try to calm his sister down. With a smile on his face, the young man thinks that even though it is a cliché, the scene really hit home. So, he approaches the man and the girl to resolve the situation and help her. Our hero asks the man in the suit how much the cake costs and says he will buy it. The man with a malicious smile says he will give him the chance to be the hero for a price. The protagonist is shocked to see that the price is exactly all the money he has. 1 gold coin is worth a lot in the game, and the cake would cost all his hard-earned money. While he thinks about what to do, the starving little girl pulls on our character's cape. With a pleading look, she keeps holding onto his clothes, anxiously waiting for his help. The little girl then starts crying again and says she is very hungry and needs to eat something. Annoyed, he decides to buy the cake, thinking that such an expensive quest must be really worth it. The man in the suit takes the money, thanks him for the purchase, and begins to disappear right in front of him. With that, our protagonist is left holding the expensive cake, not fully understanding what just happened. Suddenly, a laugh with a dark aura comes from behind our character, startling him. It was the little girl, who now with an evil smile, comments on the young man's boldness. Then, a purple energy explodes throughout the city, and the young man is completely paralyzed. The girl transforms into an adult woman named Lunaria and says that other players were cowards. She goes on to say that some cheeky players tried to take advantage and were eliminated. The protagonist then realizes she was the one who eliminated the player in the safe zone and gets terrified. At this moment, the woman slowly leans in close to our hero's face to observe him. Touching his chin, she says he has a good heart and that she liked him for it. Right after, the lady steps back holding a golden harp and says that is all for now. She then invites him to complete her trial, since his destiny is not too bad. A magic circle appears on the ground in front of the young man while other players watch the scene. The others are amazed and wonder how he managed to trigger that famous NPC's quest. A quest screen pops up, and the objective is to hunt 100 sand turtles and collect their gallbladders. Our character is very happy to have managed to trigger a unique quest in the game. But suddenly, he remembers his money and quickly opens his wallet to check. To his despair, his wallet is completely empty, without a single gold coin left. The young man then screams in agony for losing all his money, which barely had time to warm his pocket. He then calms down and thinks about selling the items he got to buy supplies for the quest. With that, the young man heads to the beginner's village market to sell his equipment. Soon, other players are impressed with the high quality of his raw, great items. He puts his items up for sale, and one player offers 10 silver coins, but another offers 30. Suddenly, a woman and man show up and offer a gold coin for his items. The man is the boss of the Immortal Guild, a famous level 6 group from other online games. The guild leader then invites him to talk in a more private and discreet place. With a smile on his face, our hero agrees to speak privately with the other player. Once at the tavern, the man asks if he is a solo player, because it is not easy to get those items. Our protagonist just calmly sips a cup of tea without answering his question. The other player says the money is a gift, and that he would like to cooperate with him in the future. Our protagonist is a bit suspicious and questions the cooperation proposal. The man then asks if Jiang Liu has ever heard of the game's hidden class medal. He explains that there are normal classes, but also thousands of stronger hidden classes. Because of this, the leader offers a very sincere price if the young man manages to get one of those medals. The young man, crossing his arms, asks why he thinks he could get a medal. The other player says that in less than 3 days, he already has black iron and silver items. Our hero, with a serious look, asks if he is curious about his playstyle. But the man laughs and tells him not to worry because he does not want to pry into anything. He goes on to say that the young man reminds him of another very famous solo player. He then shares that a player named Crazy Saber single-handedly defeated an entire guild. The leader says he respects solo players but needs to get strong to protect his guild. Jiang Liu becomes thoughtful and says he feels he can get what he needs from him. After the conversation, the young man leaves and thinks he must now focus on the demon's quest. He remembers that the sand turtle mentioned something about rocks on the coast in the group chat. Checking the chat, he finds the turtle's message asking for help because its clan was trapped. While preparing to leave, the protagonist spots another group of players. It was another group from the Zongyang clan, and they ask him why he is hiding his name. Seeing that he is going to the same place, they invite him to a party because they need a tank. But Jiang Liu declines the offer and says he prefers to continue alone as he always has. A female player points out that his sword has 15 attack and the turtle has 10 defense. She advises him not to overestimate himself and even offers him a weapon if he joins. Our hero just ignores them and goes on his way while the group mocks him behind his back. He thinks that since he stole the Zongyang clan's equipment earlier, he needs to be careful. Arriving at the beach, the young man spots a group fighting the massive sand turtles. The other players could barely deal any damage and needed 30 minutes for just one. He then remembers that even with low attack, it is still possible to deal 1 point of force damage. The young man looks around and spots a forest away from the beach, so he decides to head there. Hidden in the bushes, he finally finds the secret location he was looking for. From his hiding spot, the protagonist spots several sand turtles stuck in the rocks. He gets closer, confirms they are trapped, and checks the stats of one of them. With his eyes glowing, the young man apologizes to the little turtles and advances. Thus, he takes advantage of them being stuck and defeats one of them, which vanishes in front of him. Meanwhile, the Zongin group celebrates defeating one turtle in 20 minutes. The leader laughs and says that is real strength, but one of his partners notices something in the forest. They then watch from afar as our hero defeats one of the turtles with a single strike. The whole group hides in the bushes to spy on the fight and are shocked by the scene. We see that Yahello is dealing an absurd amount of damage to the trapped turtles. The Zongin group recognizes him and is spooked by so much power, with one of them coveting his sword. But one of them realizes that the turtles the young man is facing are not moving. The female player from the group then yells that they are stuck in a rock, which is why they cannot move. Another member suggests attacking the protagonist to take over that perfect grinding spot. One of the guys ponders that even together they might not win, and it would be bad to draw attention. He then suggests calling their boss, Zongin Tianxia, to handle the situation for them. The leader agrees and says it is a great idea, and their clan will claim that spot. Meanwhile, our hero picks up the quest item and notes that the drop rate is quite low, but he finds comfort because the creatures also drop equipment and silver coins. He got one gallbladder and a level 4 raw grade sand turtle gauntlet. The young man thinks that he has already leveled up to 6, but the fight is still tiring even with the advantage. His stats show that he now has 50 agility and up to 21 attack. Suddenly, a giant turtle with red eyes appears right in front of our character. Luckily for him, the massive creature also ends up getting stuck among the sharp rocks. With a smile, he says this makes things easier and charges into combat. He then strikes the giant monster with his sword, taking advantage of the fact that it is immobilized. Unexpectedly, a massive and terrifying creature emerges from the water and roars loudly. Our protagonist is startled and wonders how a rare monster showed up so suddenly. He then remembers that the boss turtle sent 2 subordinates to solve the problem. With his sword in hand, he thinks it is the perfect time to secure another first elimination. The Zongin group is also startled and cannot believe the young man is going to fight instead of running away. Yahello is not intimidated by the monster's size and readies his sword attack. With this, he delivers multiple strikes to the giant creature, dealing a critical hit of 36 damage. The young man thinks that, fortunately, the monster is slow and he can use his speed to attack from a distance. Plus, his agility now allows for an infinite combo, and he sees a chance to win. With that, the protagonist uses his speed to dodge attacks and counter the creature. The group is amazed and says not even the legendary player Crazy Saber would be this strong at this level. Even so, the rare monster is quite tough, and after all that time, it still has 30% of its health. Suddenly, our hero notices strange movement rapidly approaching. It was the reinforcements from the Zongin clan, arriving yelling to steal the elimination and take the young man down. Their boss arrives with a powerful strike that kicks up a cloud of dust and water. With 100 people surrounding the area, he orders everyone to attack the monster until its HP gets low. He then glares at Yahello and says today he is going to settle the score for stealing his equipment. Our character notices that everyone there has a higher level than him, and the situation is bad. With a serious look, he thinks this is the advantage of having sponsorship, and that it is going to be really tough. Meanwhile, the other Zongin group decides not to join, because they would be easily taken out. So they plan to hide and wait for the monster to be low on health to steal the final blow. One of the players the protagonist defeated earlier charges forward, yelling for him to give his equipment back. But Yahello faces him and says if he beat him once, he can very well do it again. With his sword glowing, he announces he will start with that player and charges to attack. However, the strike is blocked by a shield, and the 2 henchmen surround him, ready to fight. Our hero is surprised, as he did not expect them to have defensive equipment. Suddenly, the boss appears behind him with an axe and yells for him to take his strike. The attack lands perfectly, dealing a critical hit of 32 to our character. Yahello is thrown far away by the force of the blow and appears to be badly hurt. At this moment, he feels a tightness in his chest and realizes the impact triggered his illness. The henchmen chase after him and ask why he is not moving, and if he has already given up. One of them attacks him from behind and mocks his first elimination title, calling him weak. Surrounded by everyone, the boss laughs and tells him to hand over all his equipment right now. He then proposes a deal: he will let the young man go if he tells everyone he stole his elimination. Otherwise, he will have his men hunt him down until he drops back to level 0. The protagonist starts losing his breath and realizes this is the onset of an attack from his condition. With a victorious smile, the boss tells him to think carefully about his offer and awaits his answer. The Zongin clan boss gets confused about what is happening and does not understand the situation. His henchmen scream in terror that the monster has mutated due to the delayed fight. With its eyes glowing red, the creature attacks the players with uncontrollable fury. The monster uses the sandstorm skill and causes massive damage to all the players. The boss yells for nobody to run, saying the monster only has 19 health left, and orders an attack. He then promises a piece of black iron equipment to everyone who helps defeat it. Hearing this, the players get hyped about the reward and decide to attack, even if they get eliminated. Everyone charges with all they have at the rare creature, screaming that they want the gear. Amid the chaos, the boss realizes our protagonist has vanished and wonders where he went. But actually, Jiang Liu is sprinting toward the monster to deal the final blow. He thinks he cannot give up now and needs to hold on a bit longer so he does not waste everything. The clan leader also runs and yells that the first elimination of the rare monster will be his. He tells our hero to get out of the way, but the young man retorts, saying the boss is the one in the way. Furious, the boss attacks the protagonist with his axe because he dared to challenge his guild. Even during his medical crisis, our young man manages to block the enemy's powerful strike. The impact of the collision between the two is so strong that it throws them far apart. They stare at each other, panting, and get ready to continue the direct confrontation right there. Taking advantage of the distraction, the giant monster charges to attack both of them at once. The creature hits the other players with a devastating blow, and the clan boss screams in panic. Seeing the perfect opportunity, Jiang Liu activates his skills and prepares for the attack. He manages to land a combo of strikes on the monster, dealing a critical hit of 9. The other players are shocked by the damage and wonder where this young man came from. Fallen on the ground, the protagonist recovers and thinks about the forced damage they were dealing earlier. A world message congratulates Grand Dream on the first elimination, and he levels up several times. With an intimidating look, he faces the group and says the hunt is going to start now. The 2 remaining henchmen are terrified and beg him not to come near them. Then our hero charges and eliminates all the remaining players with incredible speed. The other Zongan group that was hiding watches the scene, completely paralyzed with fear. After his victory, he turns to the hidden group and orders them to stop right where they are. The players surrender, and one of them says they never want to cross paths with him again. After defeating everyone, our hero collects the equipment that dropped from the players onto the ground. Exhausted, he sits down and thinks about hurrying to log out so he can rest a little. He then sends a message to the Immortal Guild leader, offering the 100 items he collected. But suddenly, a noise catches his attention, and he turns to see what was happening. To his astonishment, it was another elite turtle that appeared right in front of him at that exact moment. Jiang Liu stands up and complains that the creature really knows how to pick the worst time to show up. Feeling the symptoms of his illness, he grabs a potion and decides he needs to finish this fast. In a memory, his mother asks her husband if he bought the monthly medicine for their son. She then argues with him, talking about the suffering the young man goes through during the pain crisis. But the father says he could not because the other children also need to eat, and he looks heartbroken. Back in the game, the young man screams with all his might and is filled with fresh determination. In this way, he charges with full force toward the monster to end the fight once and for all. He thinks about how he has fulfilled his responsibilities as the eldest son for many, many years. With that, the hero lands a triple combo on the monster, dealing a critical hit of 60. We see another memory of him holding his little sister in the middle of a very poor area. His sister points and asks what that is, and he explains it is the district where rich people live. With an innocent smile, the little girl says she wants to become a rich person too then. So her brother promises he will work very hard to make the little girl's dream come true. He thinks he has finally found something he can do to change his family's life. With a determined look, he decides he will not waste the advantage he has gained. The young man then attacks with everything he has so he does not hand over his chance to anyone else on a silver platter. A world announcement congratulates Grand Dream, and everyone is shocked that it is him again. On the forum, players are amazed and already start comparing his strength to that of Crazy Saber. After the victory, we see the items dropped by the elite turtle on the ground. Our hero kneels exhausted and observes the rewards he earned from the fight. But suddenly, he starts breaking into a cold sweat, and with a worried look, says this is not good at all. A message warns that he has been forcibly disconnected and his character will remain idle. In the real world, his virtual reality headset flies off his head and falls to the floor. We then see that the young man is in his bed, shivering and writhing in intense pain. With an expression of agony, he wonders if his body will hold on for another 6 months. Our hero's mother arrives and says she is going to cook some fierce beast meat for dinner. Getting no answer, she calls him again, but he does not respond, and she gets worried. Then the young man appears and says he is fine, and he will help her prepare the food. During dinner, his father shares that he received his paycheck, which is why he bought his favorite meat. His little brother then offers a bit of his food to our protagonist, but he refuses, saying the meat helps with his brother's cultivation and that he does not even like it that much. The father encourages the youngest son to eat because he is at a crucial point in his cultivation. With a determined smile, the boy thanks them and promises he will become a level 3 awakened. The protagonist smiles proudly and tells his brother that their father has faith in him and his potential. In the Star Ocean era, humanity was heavily reduced due to giant monster attacks. However, a small portion of humans awakened abilities and became the awakened ones. They are divided into 10 levels, and starting at level 3, their physical techniques become much stronger. Some individuals even awaken special arts and become incredibly powerful. With this, the Federation managed to create a new social order with the help of these awakened individuals. Unlike the chaotic old district, the new one was a territory built by social elites. The new district featured cutting-edge technology and became a paradise where everyone wanted to go. Thus, the Federation ruled that any family with a level 3 awakened member could move there. After dinner, Jianglu says goodbye and mentions he is going to sleep, but his goal was different. He grabs his virtual reality headset and thinks about exploring the game as much as possible. With the goal of leaving something for his family, he enters the game world once again. He regrets being disconnected because he thinks someone must have already taken the items he farmed. But to his surprise, upon returning to the game, he spots something he did not expect to find there. He sees that the Immortal Guild leader and his group are standing in the exact same spot he left them. The man then says that if he is not afraid of being eliminated, he can pick up the items on the ground. Other nearby players decide to leave because they do not want to pick a fight with the Immortal Guild. With a smile, our hero approaches and greets the leader who is waiting for him. The man asks why he was hiding his information and observes all the items. He says he never expected Grand Dream to be the one who defeated the rare monster and congratulates him. The young man then thanks him and makes up an excuse, saying something happened in the real world. He offers the items he got and tells the guild leader to set whatever price he thinks is fair. The guild leader is impressed that he defeated so many players alone, and the young man just laughs awkwardly. He then offers 50,000 star coins for the items and promises to transfer the money in the afternoon. Our protagonist agrees to the offer and closes the deal with the experienced player. Jianglu is shocked by so much money and thinks that now his siblings will be able to eat better. With everything settled, the man picks up all the equipment scattered on the ground. Soon after, he takes the opportunity to invite the young man to join his guild. The young man gets thoughtful about the proposal, and the leader says he can get him the best treatment. He considers the offer and believes that, based on his character, the man would truly treat him well. Despite that, our hero thanks the other player for his kindness but decides to decline. He explains he prefers playing solo because he feels freer and does not want to be tied down to a team. The leader laughs and says he already figured that would be the answer, but company management insisted he ask. He says goodbye and asks the young man to call him if he needs any more transactions in the future. Alone once again, the protagonist decides to check the rewards he earned from the monsters. He got a potion, a gold dagger, and a silver necklace with the blink skill. Furthermore, he also obtained black iron elite armor, gauntlets, and boots. With a smile on his face, the young man is happy to have gotten so many good items at once. Thus, our character equips his powerful new full armor and feels stronger. A screen shows his new stats with health, mana, defense, and agility boosted by the items. Finding the look too flashy, he asks a system spirit to hide the set's appearance. The fairy grants the request, and the hero says this is much better and more discreet than before. He then notices he cannot see the gold dagger stats and wonders why. The young man tries using the word unlock to see if he can activate the mysterious weapon. Unsuccessful, he tries again and yells the word open to see if something happens. He keeps trying several different words, but nothing seems to work on the dagger. Already annoyed by the situation, the protagonist yells at the weapon to wake up and show its powers. Out of ideas, he wonders if he needs to throw the dagger to manage to activate it. With that in mind, the young man decides to hurl the weapon as hard as he can far away. The golden dagger flies swiftly through the sky, cutting the wind with its sharp blade. Suddenly, a mysterious hand appears out of nowhere and easily catches the weapon mid-air. Our hero is completely shocked and surprised by what just happened right there. It was Lunaria who, with a smile, says the weapon's additional skill is interesting. Angry, our hero yells at the demon to return his weapon immediately. With a scary look, she glares at him and asks how he dared to call her that. Then she asks if he has finished his quest and if he managed to defeat the monsters. The young man hands over a bag with the items and says that, luckily, the tornado helped him get everything. A notification confirms he delivered the 100 sand turtle gallbladders. Satisfied, she says the reward for completing the quest is on its way to him. Suddenly, the protagonist starts glowing and levels up with the quest experience. With this, he finally reaches level 10 and earns 5 attribute points to distribute. She then tosses the dagger to him and lets him know she already helped identify the weapon's stats. Now the dagger has an attack of up to 75 and a 10% chance of dealing 10 times more damage. Our character is shocked and comments that a skill like that is incredibly amazing. Lunaria explains that an item's final stats depend on the appraiser's skill level. With his eyes sparkling with happiness, the young man feels lucky she was the one to appraise his item. She then orders him to go to the bat cave to complete her second trial. The new quest consists of collecting 100 vampire bat fangs for the mysterious woman. She says she is going to take her appraisal fee, and all of our hero's money vanishes. The protagonist is confused and wonders what reward she was talking about. Seeing his wallet at zero once again, he goes into a total panic and becomes desperate. A thread of sandy slips away from him as he realizes all his money vanished again. He screams in anger for being tricked and curses the woman as a demon for robbing him. Even so, the young man pulls himself together and hopes the next quest has a better reward. He then remembers a bat mentioning something about the cave in the monster group chat. With that, he opens his message panel to try to find some useful information. He finds a conversation where the monsters talk about a hidden class medal inside the cave. The young man gets thoughtful and wonders where exactly it would be hidden in that location. So he asks the system spirit for help to find out more details about the cave. The fairy appears and shows a map, stating that the cave is a high difficulty map. She goes on to explain that monsters there can drop medals used to switch classes. The hero thinks he could already switch classes but prefers to wait and try for a hidden class. The fairy apologizes and explains there's very little info about hidden classes in the game. Our hero then figures that since the group did not reveal anything, he will have to handle it alone. Even so, he gets excited and decides to go to the cave, as just knowing about it makes it worth the risk. Arriving at the entrance, he spots several players trying to form parties to enter the dungeon. The young man notes that many there are already at level 10 and seem well prepared for the challenge. Suddenly, 3 players walk out of the portal and complain they lost a level to a single bat. At that moment, the protagonist adjusts his cape and gets ready to enter the cave all by himself. A level 10 player calls out and invites him to join his group for better safety. With a confident smile on his face, our hero simply says thanks but declines the offer. The other players are shocked by his attitude and wonder who this god-tier guy is. Not caring about the stairs, he walks into the dark and dangerous cave for his next quest. He thinks it is the perfect time to test out his new weapon and his 5 attribute points. With his new stats, he feels strong enough to manage to complete the second trial. His eyes glow, and he prepares to face the creatures that live in that place. Suddenly, a vampire bat attacks him from above with a quick and unexpected strike. The creature accuses him of having no martial virtue for pulling a sneak attack on it. With a confident smile, the young man says he is going to use it as his first target in the dungeon. He then lands multiple hits on the bat and deals massive damage with his new dagger. The creature tries to fight back with a sonic attack, but the hero dodges with his agility. Activating his eye of perception, he complains about how slow the giant monster's attack is. With a precise leap, the young man lands a 97 damage strike on the bat's back. The protagonist gets ready for another aerial attack and positions himself to finish the creature off. This way, he focuses all his strength and readies himself for a final, decisive blow. With a powerful strike, he lands a critical hit of 366 on the monster. A system notification warns that he is about to encounter an elite monster. Our hero gets a little confused and wonders what that means right at that moment. Then, a level 10 elite vampire bat with 3,000 health points appears right in front of him. With a smile on his face, he faces the new challenge and says now things have finally gotten better. He then remembers that, according to the monster chat, an elite monster does not drop the medal. But to his surprise, he spots a small, different bat riding on the back of the elite monster. With a focused look, he stares at the little bat and says the item he is looking for is right with it. At the cave entrance, a group of 5 players gets ready to face a vampire bat, but suddenly they see our hero rushing past them at high speed and are amazed. They recognize him and are shocked to see him hunting 5 bats and 1 elite monster. With his dagger engulfed in flames, the protagonist yells at them not to block his way and attacks. With a single strike, he activates his skill and deals a massive 1,800 damage to the monster. A world announcement congratulates the player Grand Dream on the first elimination of the elite vampire bat. The player group's jaws drop, and they wonder if they have ever seen such high damage before. Our hero celebrates, triggering the dagger's 10 times damage multiplier for the first time. He then spots the little red bat that was watching him from afar and prepares to go after it. But the other group surrounds him and congratulates him on the incredible feat they just witnessed. They declare themselves his fans and beg our protagonist to carry them in the game. Stunned by the exaggerated reaction, the young man cannot even properly respond to the other players' harassment. He then asks them not to block his path, saying he is very busy right now. The little red bat takes advantage of the distraction and starts flying far away from there. The hero breaks free from the crowd and thinks he finally managed to escape that mess. With a smile on his face, he prepares to check the items the elite monster dropped. To his surprise, he gets an archer class medal to switch classes. He gets a little disappointed because it is a regular medal and not a hidden class one. Suddenly, our protagonist receives a call and is surprised by what he hears. He puts his communicator to his ear so he can answer the incoming call. It was the Immortal Guild leader, who invites him to lead a team inside the Bat Cave. He offers 30,000 star coins per person, but wants all the medals in return. Our hero thinks the price is too high and makes a counteroffer of 20,000 coins. But he demands to keep all the hidden class medals he finds in the cave. The guild leader agrees to the deal and reveals he is also after one of those. With everything settled, he says goodbye, and the young man thinks about taking the chance to earn some extra money. In the real world, the Zongan guild boss punches his desk in anger upon hearing the news. One of his subordinates questions him on the reason for so much anger over a simple elimination. He then replies that with their company's backing, they can easily catch up to that player. The boss yells that his superiors held him accountable for the defeat against Grand Dream. Furious, he asks his subordinate about what the famous player Crazy Saber said in response. The guy says he agreed to join the group but wants a 1 million coin fee. The leader agrees, says money is no issue, and asks if he is going to help catch Grand Dream. The subordinate confirms and says the player wants to livestream a duel against our hero. At that moment, a world message announces that Crazy Saber got the first boss elimination. With an evil smile on his face, the boss says he is going to make Grand Dream pay for everything. Meanwhile, in the Bat Cave, the Immortal Guild's group prepares to head inside. A female player asks what the famous Grand Dream looks like, and the leader answers. He then points to our protagonist, who is waiting for them nearby. With a smile, the young man approaches and greets the guild leader, who is expecting him. The man apologizes for the delay and introduces the other members of his party. One of the female players questions him about his scrawny appearance, and he laughs awkwardly. The other player also doubts his capabilities and comments that the bat's stats are high. Our hero is left speechless by the comments and just smiles, not knowing what to say. The leader then scolds his partner with a hit and apologizes for his rudeness. The guy complains that the 5% pain is still quite painful, but the boss ignores him. The other female player in the group also finds her leader's reaction a bit exaggerated. Suddenly, the protagonist yells for everyone to duck and gets ready for danger. A flock of vampire bats comes flying toward the group, and everyone goes on high alert. Our hero warns them to watch out for sneak attacks and tells them to leave it to him. The guild leader offers help, but the young man already charges into combat without hesitating. With his speed, he dodges attacks and eliminates several bats with fast strikes. In an instant, he manages to clear the area and defeats all the creatures that attack them. With his eyes glowing, he delivers a precise and final blow to one of the bats. The young man lands a hit for 2,900 damage, finishing the creature in a single strike. He then turns to the group and says with a serious look that everything is sorted out. The protagonist walks calmly among the defeated monsters and moves forward. The Immortal Guild's group is left completely shocked and speechless by the young man's power. Our hero finds another archer medal and tells the group to keep moving. The guild leader asks if his dagger is the one currently ranked first on the weapon leaderboard. The other players surround him, full of questions about his age and the damage he caused. With an awkward smile, the protagonist thinks this is exactly why he prefers to play solo. The group then continues exploring the dark, dangerous cave in search of more monsters. They reach an area with 3 different tunnels and pause to decide which path to take. The leader asks if our hero knows which way to go, but he does not know the place either. With a smile, he tells them to pick any of them because, with him there, it makes no difference. Suddenly, the female player in the group points upward and warns of approaching danger. A swarm of hundreds of vampire bats was sleeping on the ceiling of the dark cave. The guild leader suggests they change paths, but our hero asks them to wait. With a confident smile, he says he found what he was looking for and gets ready. It was the little red bat he saw earlier, the one that fled during the chaos. The young man tells them not to switch paths because more monsters mean more rewards. Despite the risk, the protagonist says he does not mind because he has a plan for the situation. With a serious look, he warns the group to step back so they do not get caught in the middle. The group backs away quickly, and our hero notices they were pretty fast at running off. He then readies himself and throws his dagger with all his might toward one of the bats. With a precise strike, he hits it dead on and draws the attention of one of the creatures. The bat furiously charges at the protagonist to attack him with its claws. The guild group panics because his attack was not strong enough to defeat it. Suddenly, our hero vanishes into thin air, and the monster's attack hits the ground, kicking up dust. Using his skill, he teleports to another spot and lures the bat far away. The others are shocked and wonder where he got such a powerful skill from. The young man thinks the teleport distance is good, but the cooldown time is a bit long. A notification warns that the blink skill is on cooldown and he needs to wait 2 minutes. The bat charges again, and our protagonist gets ready for direct combat. He dodges the creature's attack and counters with a fast, precise strike. The female player in the group catches onto his strategy and comments that he is very smart. With a determined smile, the young man thinks it will take a while, but his method will work. After the fight, he collects the bat fang and now has 4 out of the 100 he needs for the quest. Our hero continues his hunt, luring the bats out one by one to defeat them. With his strategy, he manages to gather the quest items without needing to fight them all at once. After 2 hours, he finally defeats the last bat and gets ready for his ultimate target. He levels up to 12 and already has 206 bat fangs in his inventory. With the quest complete, he turns to the little red bat and announces that it is its turn. The protagonist mocks the guild group for kicking back in such a dangerous place. The others wake up, and one of them asks if it is over already, mentioning he had fallen asleep. The young man then points to the little bat and says now they just need that one to finish up. The guild leader scolds his partners for sleeping during his hunt. He says our hero is highly reliable and invites everyone to take down the last one together. One of the players offers to fight, but the protagonist asks him to wait a moment. Excited, the guy charges to attack, but the little bat dodges effortlessly. He then yells at the creature to taste his grandfather's power and leaps for an aerial strike. With its eyes glowing red, the little bat reveals its true form. The little monster dodges the attack, and the player does not understand what happened or why he missed. The creature hits him with a powerful strike and throws him far away with immense force. The group is terrified by the scene, and our hero already suspected something like this would happen. Suddenly, the little bat transforms into a giant, mutated level 10 monster. The female player wonders if that is even still a bat, and the other one complains about its 4,000 health. The guild leader tells our hero to run away with the others because the monster is too strong. But his partners refuse to run, saying they want to fight even if they get eliminated. The man then asks the protagonist to knock some sense into his partners' heads. With a confident smile, the young man asks what he would do if that monster had the medal. The leader is surprised by the possibility and decides to fight alongside our hero. He then orders everyone to spread out and prepare their health potions to provide support. The giant monster charges and our protagonist runs to face it head on. The creature tries to attack with its wings, but the young man dodges using his great agility. He then gets ready for a counterattack and wonders what the monster's weak point is. With his flaming dagger, he lands several strikes on the creature, dealing considerable damage. The giant monster roars in pain and prepares for an attack even more powerful than the last one. Using his eye of perception, the young man realizes he cannot see the monster's weak spots. The guild leader panics and asks why our hero's damage dropped so suddenly. He thinks that if not even the protagonist can fight, then none of them stand a chance. Even without the weak points, the young man keeps attacking and dealing substantial damage. With a frustrated look, he does not understand why his skill is not working on the monster. The creature then readies an attack with its sharp claws to end the young man. The attack lands perfectly, dealing 214 damage to our character and injuring him. The impact of the blow causes a huge energy explosion and kicks up a lot of dust. The group screams his name, worried about what might have happened to him after the strike. The protagonist is thrown far away and starts losing 50 health per second. The monster charges again, but the Immortal Guild's group steps in to protect him. They hit the creature with everything they have to buy our hero time to recover from the clash. Followed on the ground, the young man drinks a health potion, and the leader asks if he is okay. He apologizes and says he did not expect the monster to be so tough to face. At this moment, the guild leader touches his shoulder and offers help for the battle. He hands over some potions and says his group can hold it off for a while so he can recover. Our hero asks for just a little more time and the leader agrees, saying he can leave it to him. The man says they will manage to hold the monster back, but in the end, they will have to rely on him. With a determined look, the protagonist agrees and knows that without him, victory is impossible. In a flashback, his brother sees him carrying a bucket of water and offers to help. He thinks about how he was always treated as weak and how others always took care of him. His guild partners praise him, saying he is amazing and very reliable. With a smile on his face, he thinks the feeling of being treated like someone strong is really nice. Meanwhile, the female player in the group attacks the giant monster to draw its attention. She misses the shot, and her partner scolds her for wasting arrows for nothing during the fight. Our hero drinks a purple potion, and the leader asks if he has come up with any strategy yet. He confirms he has a plan, and the leader gets hyped, asking what he needs to do to help. The young man then explains he needs him to help him buy time between the monster's attacks. The guild leader is a bit hesitant but trusts our protagonist's plan. One of the players steps up to distract the creature and says to leave that part to him. Our hero then hands the archer class medal to the blue-haired player. He says he just needs to switch classes and that the other female player has some gear he can use. The leader scolds him, saying he can only use the medal once and that he was looking for a hidden one. But the young man yells at him to stop complaining and confirms the use of the class medal. The protagonist tells him to hand over the bow and stop shooting so he does not waste arrows. With a smile, he says he will leave the rest of the fight to our hero and begins to glow. A notification states that he switched classes and learned the single-shot skill. The young man gets excited about his new class and says he does not feel bad at all as an archer. The giant monster charges at him, but he is not intimidated and readies his new bow. He then aims and yells at the creature to take an arrow right in its ugly face. With that, he fires an energy arrow that flies at high speed toward the monster. The arrow hits dead on, dealing 67 damage to the giant creature and hurting it. The new archer brags about dealing more damage than our protagonist in the fight, but the monster gets angry at the attack and charges with full force at the blue-haired player. Desperate, he screams for help and begs our hero to save him from imminent danger. The protagonist leaps over the creature and draws its attention to stop the attack. The monster's eye glows red, and it turns around to face the young man who challenged it. The young man says it took a while, but he finally found the monster's weak point in its eye. Thus, he dashes forward and lands a critical hit of 519 damage on the creature's eye. The new archer is shocked and says that even after switching classes, he does not come close to his damage. Our hero then climbs on the monster's back and yells for the archer to shoot at its eyes. The guy readies himself and says he is going to land another arrow with all his might. With a precise shot, he hits the monster's eye and celebrates being an absolute genius. The leader and the female player are impressed by the teamwork between the two in battle. Using the distraction, the protagonist takes the chance to unleash another combo of strikes on the monster. With his eyes glowing, he deals a critical hit of 480 to the creature. The archer jokes and asks our hero to give him a chance to shine too. With a smile, the young man agrees and says he will leave the final blow to the master archer. Hyped up, the player gets ready and says here he goes with his most powerful attack. He fires another energy arrow that hits the monster's eye and deals damage. The guild leader mocks the archer's low damage, and the archer tells him to shut up. Our protagonist then jumps and tells the little bat to fade away peacefully once and for all. With a final strike, he deals a critical hit of 554 to the monster. The giant creature roars in pain and starts dissolving into glowing particles of light. With victory secured, the hero lands on the ground and gets ready to check the rewards. He laments his luck for not triggering the dagger's 10 times damage during the fight. The guild leader mentions he found him at a street stall and never expected him to be so strong. To his surprise, he sees that the monster dropped 2 glowing orbs of light on the ground. The first one was a Wind Whisper hidden class medal for switching classes, and the second was a Druid hidden class medal, which was also a rare class. The female player gets excited and asks if those are the hidden class medals. With her eyes sparkling with joy, she gets pumped about how lucky they were in the dungeon. She celebrates, yelling that they are rich, and the young man says he is going to keep one of them. The guild leader did not expect the trip to be so dangerous, and our hero agrees. He then hands over one of the medals, saying a promise is a promise, and they deserve it. The new archer gets pumped and says he worked really hard, so he deserves the reward too. Suddenly, a crystal sword appears out of nowhere and attacks the blue-haired player. He is struck dead on by the surprise attack and is left severely injured by the blow. Our hero is startled by the scene and cannot believe what just happened. The guild leader and the female player scream their friend's name, desperate over the attack. The young woman is terrified and does not understand how her partner was attacked so suddenly. Suddenly, the Zombie Guild boss appears and says the rewards should all belong to him. He mocks the immortal group, saying an executive from such a big guild uses raw grade items. The guild leader gets angry and says their groups have never interfered with one another. The other boss says they have always been rivals and that our hero stole his items. He then reveals he brought his elite group to finish them all off at once. With an evil smile, he says he has no choice but to strike first in this situation. He orders them to hand over the medals and their equipment so they can have a quick downfall. Furious, the immortal guild leader yells his rival's name and prepares for battle. But the protagonist calms him down and asks him to step back, saying he will handle it all alone. Suddenly, a mysterious voice mocks the protagonist, pointing out he only has 4 eliminations. Then we see a man holding a giant, glowing sword that radiates a powerful aura. It was the famous player Crazy Saber who, with an intimidating look, asks if the young man dares to fight.